Hello, welcome to Malt, the non-chill filtered whisky blog. I'm Andy and this is Whisky Review number 65. What I have for you today is a very special single malt Scotch whisky from the Highland region. And it comes in the form of this. The Old Pulteney 21-year-old. I did mention in an earlier review that I will be looking to review this. I've already reviewed the 12, I've reviewed the 17, and now my dear friends, I am on to the 21. One of the reasons that's prompted me to do this review is firstly the bottle that I purchased and I hadn't previously opened was opened on my stag do, and well, as you can see, we made a bit of a dint in it. And also, it was recently announced by Pulteney Distillery that the 17-year-old and 21-year-old expressions are to be discontinued due to lack of stock. And isn't that a recurring theme? They've said it initially, as of the time of this review, that they're not going to be replacing these whiskies with no age statements, and I really hope that they stick to that. If they have to do a 15-year-old, fine. Absolutely fine. 15 and 18, I can settle for that. Providing that they provide good value for money and they don't keep the pricing the same. So I don't want to be paying the same for an 18-year-old as I'm paying for the 21. But as long as they don't replace it with no age statement, then I'll let them off for now, until those casks get older. Right, anyway, as I was saying, Old Pulteney 21. Bottle at 46%. This whisky is unchill filtered. I do not know if it is natural colour. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell me on the tube and it does not tell me on the bottle either. So, what can I say? Really, well, it's the same as the other Pulteney bottles, isn't it, really? But, really nice presentation with the bottle there to mimic the shape of Pulteney stills. I'm not going to go into too much detail on the distillery, given that I have done that in previous reviews. In short, it is located in Wick, on the north-east coast of Scotland, the very northernmost, most north-easterly tip of mainland Scotland. They are no longer the most northerly distillery on mainland Scotland. That now falls to Wolfburn Distillery, so congratulations guys for one-upping Old Pulteney on that front. I will be reviewing a Wolfburn whisky shortly. I do need to get hold of one first, but once I do that I will review it. The 21-year-old is matured, well, the whiskies that go into it, should I say, are matured in a combination of ex-bourbon and ex-sherry, predominantly Fino sherry casks. So you do have a mixture of spirit in there of ex-bourbon and ex-sherry. Now that's out of the way, onto the nose. The 21 is a very different whisky to the 17-year-old. Just get that out of the way. It is a very different whisky. Similar, but different, if you know what I mean. On this nose, straight away, you've got lovely sort of like rich brandy-soaked sultanas, raisins. You've got a little bit of chocolate on there. You've got that coastal note that you do get in the 17 and even the 12. So think of like, you've got your sea spray coming in, you're on the top of like cliffs, going walking, it's windy. You've also got toffee, you've got a little bit, and only a tiny little bit, of smoke in the background as well. This lovely kind of honey covered barley, cereal flake like kind of note in there. A little bit of vanilla, but not too much. You've also got orange marmalade, I'd describe it as. A really nice, thick cut Sevilla orange marmalade. I still can't believe they've discontinued this in the 17. The last bottles of the 21, the last batches, are entering the retail sphere as we speak. So if you are looking to get your hands on this, snap them up while you can. there will be people stocking 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and they won't be to drink. 1 or 2 might be, but pretty soon you'll see them on Scotch whisky auctions going for 250 quid and the rest. Some people are idiots and they'll pay that. But the 17-year-old is estimated that the stock will last well into the middle of 2018, according to Old Pulteney. Whether that will happen, I don't know, because there is going to be an increase in demand. Let's face it, I am going to buy another 17-year-old before it falls off the face of the earth forever. This particular bottle, it's sod's law, isn't it, really? I picked this up for 50 quid in Tesco in Manchester. I keep telling you about all these bargains that I'm getting in Tesco and I feel really bad. It just so happens that I do this little walk on my lunch when I'm in work, and I'll just go past and I'll nip in, see what's on offer. And this was reduced to clear. Reduced to clear. So it was reduced from, where they cross it out on a sign, it was like 120 down to 110, down to 80, just crossed out again, 50 quid. And I was like, having that straight away. There's not much more to add to that nose than I've already said, but what I will say, it is absolutely delightful. It really is, genuinely, this is a fantastic whisky already. It's really cohesive, very well made, very well put together. You can tell that the quality of the spirit is right up there. The way this has been put together in terms of its flavour profile, this really has been around for a while, let's face it. They've honed this perfectly now. It is just phenomenal. It's one that you could just sit here forever. A bit like the 17, I think I mentioned that with the 17, you could just sit there for hours and just not stop sniffing it. So I'm going to move on to the palate. Oh. Firstly, it's that thick. The texture is that thick. It is like drinking olive oil. It is beautiful. Again, I mentioned the sultanas. They're still there. I mentioned the honey. It's still there. I mentioned the chocolate. It's still there. A little bit of black pepper now. That vanilla is making itself known even more. You've got a really nice sort of black tea flavour in there as well, but without that awful bitterness at the end. There's definitely, the quality of some of these casks that they've been using, particularly the Fino Sherry, for example, must be absolutely amazing. There is certainly some sherry influence in there, don't get me wrong. It is sweet, but it's not overpoweringly sweet. It's not sickly. It's not a sherry bomb, as people generally describe certain drinks from Speyside. It's not that at all. I think the marrying of this ex-bourbon and ex-sherry has worked wonders. Really goes really, really well together. Really good cask selection. As I say, you've got some black tea on there without the bitterness. You've got that chocolate, and yes, you've still got that saltiness as well. And you can actually taste it a little bit like sea salt. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. And just going back on the nose there, blackcurrant jam. Yeah. Even more honey. I would go as far as to say that some of that marmalade from the nose is on there as well. This really nice sort of almost cinder toffee flavour in there. If you don't know what cinder toffee is, think crunchy bars. A really sort of warming experience there as well. Is the smoke on there? Do you know what? Yeah, there is a tiny little bit, but again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's not peaty, it's not smoky in the sense of an Isla, yada yada yada. It's just there to lend itself to the overall flavour. You get the drill by now. I keep saying that on certain reviews, but on this, it's definitely there. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Finish, really long. Warming but not hot. Mellow but not tame. Sweet but not sickly. Good whiskey. It's good. That's it, that's the end of the review. It's good. But I can see why it's been in such high demand. Pulteney, they know what they're doing, they knock out some cracking spirit. And it really is, it's such a shame to see a whiskey like this just disappear. And it's not going to be permanent, in a few years' time. I don't know how many years, but in a few years' time it is going to come back. Touch wood, I swear to God it better I'd do. But it's sad to see. It is. This is my third bottle. Yeah, my third bottle of Pulteney 21. Because generally speaking, I know I said I got it for 50 quid. The general RRP is between 80 and 100. It's not something you want to be dropping every month, is it? The economy the way it is, people's pay is static, Brexit, dare I say that word, and various other elements make anybody's life difficult at the moment. And when you've got your pay at the end of the month, you want to spend it on a bottle of whiskey. Not all of it, I don't condone that, you've got to pay your mortgage and that, Jesus. But £100 or whatever on 2 bottles or 1 bottle, and fair enough, but you don't want to be doing it all the time, do you? Because it's not, I think, generally speaking, the maximum I spend on a bottle of whiskey, I don't buy one every month, I won't say, but, I tend to try and keep it under 50 quid. I will sometimes push that up if I'm feeling either particularly flush or particularly chancy and cheeky, because on some occasions I have to sneak them in the house, in my bag. And I show the wife one. Oh, what have you got? Oh, it's this. And meanwhile, I'm just hiding another one. Which is why sometimes she comes downstairs, she's like, how long have you had that one? Oh, it's been there months. It's been there ages. Last Christmas, honestly. So, we've had, after that little confession, got a little bit of time now in the glass there with the water. On the nose. That water straight away has amplified those cereal notes tenfold. There's honey in there. It's not quite as a rich honey. It's very runny. It's quite thin. If anything, and the cereal note in there as well, crunching up Cheerios or Kellogg's crunching up cornflakes, you get the idea. I'd say, as well, there's a little bit of ginger in there now. But all the while you've still got really nice sweetness, you've still got this saltiness, you've still got a little bit of chocolate maybe. And it is still rich. Onto the palate. Unfortunately, while the texture is still thick, don't get me wrong, it's still thicker than a lot of whiskies that you would try without watering it down. It does certainly thin it down quite a lot. It's no longer olive oil, let's put it that way. You've still got this really nice sweetness in there. You've got more milk chocolate, you've got blackberries, you've got blackcurrant, you've got something like ginger actually, ginger snap, ginger nut biscuits, brandy snaps. Yeah, brandy snaps, those little baskets. The finish is a lot shorter in terms of flavour, but the presence of that nice mellow warmth is still there, so that does still continue and go quite far. Lemon or orange zest on the nose as well. I've said it. It's a real shame that this has been discontinued. If you haven't had the chance to try it, You can buy samples if you don't want to splash out in a full bottle. You can buy a sample from Master of Malt. They do a little 3 centilitre sample. I don't know how much it is off the top of my head though, but it's not going to be £5. It's going to be £10 plus, I'd have thought, for a sample of this. But do you know what? It's a great whiskey. And on that note, in terms of score, I'm going to give this 90 out of 100. It really is great. Do you know what? It's not quite up to the 17, in my opinion. It's really good. Don't get me wrong. Don't let that take this away. Take it away from it. It's a phenomenal whiskey. It just so happens that the 17 is even better. Does that make sense? You should try them. In fact, if you get the chance, try them side by side. Let me know what you think. But get hold of one while you can. If you can get it cheaper, then all the better. If I don't want you guys spending things based, buying things, spending your money based on what I tell you. That's not what I'm here to do. I don't want to be held responsible for saying, "Oh, I love this, go and get one," and then someone comments and saying, "Jesus, I spent £75 on that, it was shit." Sorry. But if you do have the opportunity to get a sample of this, in my opinion, it is worth the money for that alone, just for the experience, just to try it and get your own opinion. So, on that note, hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. I don't often say it, but please do subscribe if you do watch these videos, that'd be great. See you later.